Can you sit? Thank you. Hey there, Janae with Palin Projects here, and in this week's video I wanted to see if my dahlias survived the winter in the method that I chose to save them in. And I bought some giant lilies last year. These lilies were supposed to bloom to about a foot in width for their blooms. It was their first year, so they bloomed and they were beautiful, but their blooms were not a foot in length. They were probably about 6 inches, which is still great for lilies, and they were beautiful, and I very much enjoyed them in my backyard. And then I have some new dahlias as well that I wanted to pot up. I am very sad to announce that most of my dahlias did not survive the winter. We got down into like the negative 30s and 40s this year for a couple weeks, and so I brought them inside because I don't have a decent place out in the garage or anywhere to house them. And unfortunately they dried out being in the house for a couple of weeks. I do have one set that did survive, and it is the Cafe au lait, which is what I wanted to survive the most, because it is kind of a sought after breed of dahlia. If you find it, you're going to pay full price. You're never going to pay clearance for that dahlia breed. It is beautiful. It is a white with a little bit of pink blushing through it. I very much enjoyed it in my backyard this year, and so I'm very, very pleased that one did survive. So I will be splitting that one into hopefully 2 viable tubers. And then I do have some other dahlias that I'm going to show you here in a moment. But 3, and I think I only bought 3 last year. I think only 3 survived me planting them. But all 3 lilies appear to have made it. This lily, and I'm not sure which one it is, it appears to be a little dry. But I'm going to plant it and see what happens. You guys can't see it. This one here appears to be a little dry. I'm going to plant it and see what happens. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, I'll just throw the potting soil into the compost bin. This one is the best, I would say, out of all of them. I might take off a couple of these. Yeah, I'm going to take off this leaf just because it seems to be a little moldy, and I don't want to perpetuate that. And then this one, I already took off a couple leaves. These guys are a little soft, but you can see that it's already starting to shoot some new growth. So I am very excited. I'm very excited that I have these little tiny babies up here, and that that the lilies survived and I get to plant them again. So that's exciting. My first dahlia tubers are Creme de Cassis, I think. It's a purple dahlia. These grow between 3 to 4 feet tall and about 1.5 to 2 feet wide. So I think these are going to be excellent for cutting, and they're going to be beautiful. The next one I found this year, Go-Go Peach. So I wanted to get some more peach colors, peach tones into my dahlia collection. I think these are going to be gorgeous as well. These are going to be 8 to 12 inches, so about 1 foot high, and 1.5 to 2 feet for spacing. So they're a lower growing but bushier dahlia breed. Girls, hi. Apparently we want to make an appearance. Shelby. Okay. My last dahlia breed, I don't even know the title of this one. But I always try and grow a dahlia this color. I grew it my very first year, and I think it's just gorgeous. So it's got the yellow in the center, and then as the leaves age, they go to a pink. I like this color. I grew it my very first year, and I think it's gorgeous. This one will grow 40 inches tall, so 3 to 3.5 feet tall, and it looks like maybe 2 feet wide. I think that's what that says. So dahlias are not a perennial for me here. They are a perennial. They will come back. That's why I dig the tuber and I try and save them. But they are not a perennial here. They are perennial for zones 8 through 10. So 8 through 10, they can live in the ground year round. I am a 4A to 4B depending on the year. So that means we get down to like negative 20-ish, negative 25. This year we got down to negative 30. My parents' house in central Montana got down to negative 60, so yay Montana. But yeah, so we got down to about negative 30 this year, so definitely too cold for dahlias to stay in the ground, too cold for ranunculus, anemones. Yeah, so we dig those and save them. We store them and save them, and then we just plop them back in, like I'm gonna do right now, and grow them on every year. So separate the tubers and grow them on. They are beautiful. They are worth it. I will say that. I was reluctant to grow them my first year. I actually bought 3 tubes. So how dahlias grow are by tubers. Let me pop open a bag here and I'll show you. Versus lilies grow by bulb, typically. Dahlias grow by tubes. So let me see if I can separate out. So this is a tuber, okay? So I technically have 2 dahlias here. I'm gonna plant this all in one, just cause I see some rot on here. So I might take apart this a little bit so I don't perpetuate that those dying tubes. But here's a tuber. This is a nicer looking tuber. That's a pretty nice looking tuber. But basically, like, I could split this dahlia down the middle and have 2 separate plants, because dahlias grow from tubers and they grow from eyes on those tubers. So I'm not going to split it. I'm actually going to prune off some of these tubers that are kind of molding, and then see what I can get to grow. So typically you want to put the tubers in the ground where the eyes can grow up. If you don't know where the eyes are, or you can't see the eyes, then you can put the tuber in the ground horizontally, and that works too. So that's what I did the first year. It worked great. I can see the eyes obviously on this tuber, and so I will be planting that in the ground, or in my pot, to start as such. Here's another one. Here's another one, and you can see it's growing out of that eye and this eye. So I have 2 eyes on this one again. I could split this in half if I wanted to, and you know, start growing it that way. But I'm gonna leave it together and grow it so that I have a nice full plant. Now I do have there was only supposed to be 2 in here, I believe. Yes, 2. I do have another one. Look at that bonus dahlia. So all they need is 1 tube and an eye. I'm not going to throw this away. I'm going to plant it. It has a tuber and it has an eye. It's growing. So I'm going to save this one. So I actually, I got 3 out of the pack, which is awesome. I technically could have 5. If I wanted to split those tubers, I could have 5. I'm not going to, so I'll have 3, which is great. I mean, I'm ecstatic about this one. So, bonus. So I'm gonna go through each pack, unpack my dahlias, and start potting them up. Okay, so you can see I have my pots pre-filled with potting soil. That's all I have in here. I have my lilies laid out. I'm gonna put my dahlias in here and then cover them up with soil, put them on cookie sheets, and put them under my grow lights. So that's my process. Okay, so my dahlias and my lilies are now potted up. And a couple things to note, I did pre-moisten the potting soil. So I did that so that the tubers could have that moisture and wick it up and be nice and plump and enjoy that. So I will not water the dahlias again until I see the stalk actually emerge from the soil. That is because dahlias are susceptible to rot. They're very susceptible to it. So I don't want to overwater them and have them rot out. I've planted, quite a few dahlias, and that's happened to me because I tend to overlove my plants. So again, I will wait for their green to emerge from the soil, and then I'll start watering them. I won't touch them until then because that soil is moist enough in order for them to be able to shoot off that first start. Now, you might have seen a couple of those tubers did have starts on them, which is great. It means they're healthy and they're viable. So I am also going to label each of these pots. You saw I placed their tag on top of them. I will label each individual pot because I tend to move these pots around because they are a little bit bigger. I don't know if you noticed that, but they are a little bit bigger, more substantial. And so each individual pot will get labeled. I won't try and keep them all on one sheet or whatever. Just for ease, I'm just going to label. And I mean, it's not a big deal. When they flower, I'll know, but if I want to do like a pretty design or like every other one, it'll just be nice to know what variety they are. And then I'll save those tags, and when I go and try and save them for the winter time, I'll tie their tag around them just so that I know the variety when I'm trying to regrow them. So these will go under the grow lights. They don't have to go under the grow lights until their green stalks emerge. For ease though, so I don't have to keep watching them, they'll go underneath the LED lights anyways. So I'm lazy like that. But anywho, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, I'm back. I got 3 cafe au laits. 3 plants. I'm so excited. There was a second tuber that I was going to throw away that was sprouting, and I didn't realize it when I took it out of the container. So I potted that guy up in one of these containers. And then the one that I knew for sure had lived was massive. I mean, the tubers on it they were just huge. And I ended up having to split that tuber, and the bigger portion went into this pot, which I put in a saucer, and it's in a plastic container, so when I do water it, the water can go down and drain out. But I had to put it in one of my actual pots because it's so big. I will transplant it out into my garden because as much as I love dahlias and pots, this is not a big enough pot for that dahlia. It literally is taking up this whole pot right now because I just didn't have a pot big enough at this stage. I mean, my outdoor pots are big enough, but it's too cold for dahlia tubers right now. We're still getting a low 20s at night sometimes, and so I don't want to ruin this tuber. I want some cafe au lait dahlias from it. And then I know you can't see it, but maybe if I move this a little bit. It's about 1.5 the size of these black containers here, so it's a little bit bigger with that one tuber that I cut off of the main stalk. So I might have 3 cafe au lait dahlias. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Okay,